Hello, bankers. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome back. So, welcome to JIV CIV Prep. So, guys, from this unit onwards, we are going to start with our BFM final module, which is all about balance sheet management. Okay. So, if you talk about the module D, which is balance sheet management, which include component of asset and liabilities in bank balance sheet, which we are going to cover in this particular session. Then we have capital adequacy, Basel norms, asset classification and provisioning norms, liquidity management, interest rate risk management, RAROC, and profit planning. Okay, so these are the units of your final module, module D. So with the help of number of application based question and MCQs, we are going to build our fundamentals as well as understanding toward these topics as well as subtopics, right? So final module, I hope you have gone through the previous three module. ठीक है, तो regular basis पे आप इन पे थोड़ा थोड़ा contribute करते जाइए. Then the good thing is about this year paper, so we will get 10 to 12 days for the BFM practice or revision also. ठीक है, so just after BFM, we will be starting for classes for ABM subject. Okay, so BRBL is already done by Disha ma'am. Okay, so there are like unit wise as well as unit wise MCQs and unit wise your explanation part is also available, and we have already provided the compilation for those particular videos, so you can watch those particular one. Okay. ABFM unit wise MCQs are already there. Okay. So ABFM we will start like once we will done with ABM module A and B, then C and D, then simultaneously we will start with the ABM also. Okay? And for elective paper HRM, so the sufficient content is already provided by ma'am itself. Okay? During your exam period, we will be doing some session because BRBL is already done. So during that period, we will be focusing on HRM as well as some other elective papers, right? So guys, unit number 26, the very first unit from your final module, module D. So component of assets and liabilities in bank balance sheet. Okay, so it is all about the balance sheet management or the introduction to balance sheet, bank balance sheet. Okay, so whenever we talk about the balance sheet, it is asset. The equation is asset equal to liabilities plus owner's equity. I hope you guys remember this particular one from your CAIIB AFM session. Okay, so AFM module B, which was all around this balance sheet things or the final accounts. Okay. So if you talk about this particular one, so it is about the assets and liabilities in bank balance sheet as well as their management through ALM. So ALM will be also part of this one. Okay. So component of bank balance sheet. Then we have a component which include like total 18 schedules, 12 for balance sheet and 6 for your profit and loss account, including note to accounts. Then we have asset and liability management, ALM. Significance of asset liability management. Then we have purpose and objective of asset liability management, ALM as a coordinated balance sheet management. Okay, so these are the subtopics. So with the help of number of MCQs and application based questions, we are going to build our understanding toward these particular subtopics. ठीक है, तो एक एक करके बढ़िया से आपका सारे एरियाज को डिस्कस करेंगे एंड साथ ही साथ आपका जो फंडामेंटल पार्ट है उनको भी आपका कवर करते हुए चलेंगे. ठीक है, सो वी विल स्टार्ट आवर टुडेज डिस्कशन विद वेरी फर्स्ट point, which is all about the balance sheet. I hope you guys remember this particular one. ठीक है, so whenever we have already discussed this particular thing in our concept classes, so balance sheet, if you talk about the banking company, ठीक है, so banking company in India, they have to prepare their final accounts as per the section 29 of Banking Regulation Act 1949. ठीक है, so BR Act 1949, where RBI have given the format for these particular one. Okay, so we have majorly two areas. One is Form A. Okay, so Form A, which is deal with your performa balance sheet, where we have 12 schedules. Okay, and Form B, if you talk about the Form B, so which is related to your profit and loss accounts. Okay, so these two accounts which generally comes under the balance like the final accounts of a banking company, ठीक है, as per this particular section, ठीक है. So कैसे इनका formatting होगा, what will come first and what will come last, ठीक है, और different जो heads आपके हैं, ठीक है, entire 18 schedules. तो जिसमें 12 शेड्यूल आपका बैलेंस शीट से संबंधित, 6 शेड्यूल आपका इंक्लूडिंग नोट टू अकाउंट्स, ठीक है, जो आपका प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस. तो पहले इनके अराउंड आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग बनाते. बट फर्स्ट थिंग आई होप यू गाइस रिमेंबर, लाइक बैलेंस शीट, like whenever we talk about the balance sheet, the equation is assets equal to, ठीक है, assets equal to liabilities plus owner's equity, right? So this is the equation. I hope everybody knows about this thing, ki why assets are always equal to liabilities, because from taken liability itself we generally create the asset, right? And if you talk about the sources and application of funds, so these are, this side is generally part of the sources of funds, these are generally sources of funds, this is sources of funds, and दिस इज एप्लीकेशन ऑफ फंड्स, ठीक है. सो बहुत सारे एग्जांपल्स के साथ हमने इनको डिटेल में डिस्कस किया है. अगर कोई डाउट होगा तो प्लीज बताइएगा, ठीक है. सो सोर्सेज ऑफ फंड्स मींस इट इज, दीज आर लाइबिलिटीज in the bank balance sheet, ठीक है, which include capital, reserve, deposits, borrowings, other liabilities and provisions, ठीक है. So these are the sources of funds, ठीक है. Application of funds, ठीक है, these are the assets in bank balance sheet, the cash in hand and balances with RBI, balances with bank, and money at call and short notice, call which is payable within 24 hours or overnight, okay? And short notice which is receivable, these are the receivables within 14 days, okay? So this is the one. Investment including gold or the other type of investment of bank, advances, loan given to other parties, fixed assets, property, plants, equipments, and all these, other assets, and the total one. So this is, these are the assets of the bank and these are the liabilities of the bank. Assets are always equal to liabilities because from taken liability itself we generally create the asset. ठीक है, तो ये basic fundamentals हैं आपके accounting के. I hope you guys remember these particular one. ठीक है. So now with the help of MCQs, this is all about the basic introduction. ठीक है. So with the help of numerous MCQs, we will be practicing these particular thing in detail. ठीक है. So under the Banking Regulation Act 1949, the financial statement of bank are presented in which of the following format? So here it is section 29. Okay. So as per section 29, it can be like if you talk about the section, so Banking Regulation Act 1949 section 29, which define, where RBI had defined how bank will prepare their final accounts. Okay. So they have given two formats for performa, Form A performa balance sheet and Form B performa profit and loss account. Okay. So third schedule of Companies Act, no. So what will be your correct answer? Form A, performa balance sheet, which include 12 schedules, okay? And Form B, performa profit and loss account, which includes 6 schedule, including note to accounts. Okay? So according to section 29 of Banking Regulation Act 1949, bank in India must prepare their financial statement in Form A, balance sheet, and Form B, profit and loss account as prescribed by RBI in this particular one. Okay? So for companies, it is Companies Act 2013, Schedule 3, okay? And they have to like whenever you talk about the final accounts of a company, which include balance sheet, profit and loss account, and cash flow statement also, right? So the format is given under section 139, 129 of Companies Act 2013 itself. So section 129 for a joint stock company, but for banking it is defined by RBI under section 29 of Banking Regulation Act 1949, and this is the exact format. If you'll open balance sheet of any banking company in India, so you'll see in this particular format. Okay? So this is very important one. Third schedule of BR Act 1949, Form A, form of balance sheet. Balance sheet as on 31st March 2024 or 2025. Okay? So first, it contains liabilities, capital and liabilities, where we have 5 scheduled. Okay? First one is capital. Then we have, we will be discussing all these one by one in detail. Okay? Capital, reserve and surplus, minorities interest, deposit, borrowings, other liabilities and provision. ठीक है, schedule A, sorry, schedule 1, 2, 2A, 3, 2A which is minorities interest, ठीक है, 4 and 5. ठीक है, assets आपका asset, that total of all these, ठीक है, assets, if you talk about the assets, cash and balances with RBI, schedule 6, ठीक है, these are the assets. Balances with bank, balances with bank and money at call and short notice, schedule 7. Investment आपका schedule 8, advances आपका 9, fixed asset 10, then we have other asset 11, and then the contingent liabilities आपका 12. So these are the like overall आपका 12 schedules, ठीक है, जिसमें से 5 schedules which generally belongs to capital and liability side, ठीक है. Capital means the money contributed by the promoters and owners or the shareholders money, ठीक है, and the other one, ठीक है, and then the other part is आपका एसेट के लिए वी हैव 6 to 12 शेड्यूल, दैट इज 7 शेड्यूल, ठीक है. तो ये 7 शेड्यूल आपका यहाँ पे काम करेंगे. देन इफ यू टॉक अबाउट दी form B, performa profit and loss account. So this is the sequence. So where we have first income, we have two major sources of income: interest income, other income. Then 13 and 14. Then we have expenses, interest expended on liabilities and the other liabilities, operating expenses and all. So income 13 and 14, which include interest earned and other income. Expenditure 15 and 16, interest expended, operating expenses, provision and contingencies. Profit and loss, then as per schedule 7, we decide our profit and loss. Then we prepare profit and loss appropriation account. So appropriation account, which is comes under this one. So net profit for the years in this, that generally comes under this. So after that, we have the schedule 18, which is something related to note to accounts. Note to accounts means note on explanatory note on these particular heads, or these particular schedules. Just let's say if we are showing investment worth 20 crores, so how we have valued that 20 crore investment, if we are showing depreciation on asset, so which method we have opted in, all these kind of things. So these all explanatory notes are part of that particular one. Penalties imposed by RBI, or even dividend distributed, or even anything आपका which is required for the understanding of the stakeholders, which generally which is not given in these two forms, which will be part of your note to accounts. ठीक है, that is schedule 18. So ये आपका overall format जो आपको देखने के लिए मिलेगा. Now with this particular question we will be discussing all these 18 schedule in detail. थोड़ा सा टाइम टेकिंग होगा, बट इट इज लाइक वर्थवाइल. ठीक है, ये आपको कहीं ना कहीं आने वाले समय में बहुत ज्यादा हेल्प करेगा. दो वी हैव डिस्कस दिस पर्टिकुलर वन इन आवर कॉन्सेप्ट क्लासेस आल्सो, सो आई हैव कम अप विद सम कंटेंट रिलेटेड टू योर मैकमिलन बुक आल्सो. ठीक है, सो नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज which of the following statement correctly explain the significance of capital as a component of liability in bank. ठीक है, so capital, so it is something related to capital. ठीक है, so it can be capital is a short-term liability that bank must repay to depositors at the end. No, it is not a short-term liability, first of all. So this is wrong. Capital act as proactive cuisine for depositors, and creditors serve as long-term source of fund. 100% true. So capital is basically money contributed by promoters or the shareholders and all. So that generally comes under this particular one. Okay? So option B, without any doubt, it will be right answer for this one. Okay? So capital represent owners stake, shareholders fund basically in bank, and serve as a cuisine for depositor and creditors in case of losses. कि if they make losses, so we will contribute from our pocket, जो आपका जिसको हम लोग बैंक बैलेंस शीट के अंदर जानते हैं एज अ कैपिटल के फॉर्म में. ठीक है, so ये these are the explanation. This you can study with the PDF itself. ठीक है, so now we with the help of these now with the help of back to back 4 to 5 slides, I'll go through the entire 18 schedules, especially like the 17 schedule. 18 is note to accounts. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा यहाँ से अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग डेवलप करनी है, बिकॉज आने वाले जो क्वेश्चंस होंगे दे विल बी बेस्ड ऑन दीज पर्टिकुलर वन इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, सो कंपोनेंट ऑफ लायबिलिटीज, इट इज कैपिटल. कैपिटल रिप्रेजेंट ओनर्स स्टेक in a bank. It serves as a cuisine for depositors and creditors to fallback in case of losses. Okay. Uh, it is considered to be long-term source of fund. Minimum capital requirements for domestic and foreign banks is prescribed by RBI by the capital adequacy requirements. Okay. Second one is reserve and surplus, which was your schedule 2. This was your schedule 1. This is your schedule 2. If we talk about the component of liabilities, so the the component under this include statutory reserve, capital reserve, share premium, revenue, other reserve, and balances in profit and loss account. Okay? So reserve and surplus is something, let's say during a period we make a profit of 50 crores, okay, and we transfer that entire money to our balance sheet. So that will be part of this particular one. We issued shares worth rupees 500 and the face value was 10. So 490 is your premium that will be part of this particular one. So these are these are some major components of your reserve and surplus. Okay? Deposits आपका, the main source of fund for a bank is deposit, which we generally accept from the market itself. Okay? The deposit are broadly classified as deposit payable on demand, demand liabilities, current deposit, overdue deposit, call deposit. Second is a category of saving bank deposit, and lastly term deposit, which are repayable after a specified period. Okay? So demand deposit, term deposit, and all these are the basic categories. Okay? Borrowings. So bank, they can borrow majorly from two sources, three sources. Now, the major categorization is two: domestic and international. Domestic is from borrowing from RBI, borrowing from other bank, interbank borrowing, borrowing from other institution like DFIs, okay, and international borrowing. So this is the overall categorization. Okay. Borrowing in India consists borrowing or refinancing obtained from RBI, other commercial bank, and other institution agencies like this. Okay. Or it can be from international borrowing also. The other part, other liabilities and provisions, the bank other liabilities and provision, which include bills payables. So this include a draft, telegraphic transfer, TTs, traveler's check, mail transfer, payable, pay slips, banker's check, and other miscellaneous item. Inter-office adjustment, the credit balance of the net inter-office adjustment. Interest accrued, the interest accrued but not due on deposit and borrowings, and other liabilities like provision for income tax, tax deductible at source, and interest, tax, and others. Okay? So these are the five head: 1 2 3 4, sorry, 1 2 3 4. Achha, one is missing in this case. uh, One is missing from this particular case. Okay, I'll go back. uh, Reserve and deposit, borrowings, other liabilities, and provision. One, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what was missing in that case? All we covered, I guess. Okay. There is these. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Achha, okay, 5. Sorry. Okay. The calculation was error. Okay. So these are the five schedules. Okay. This is schedule 1, schedule 2, schedule 3, schedule 4, and schedule 5. आपका, ठीक है. Now the next one, component of assets, schedule 6 to schedule 12. Okay. So which include assets, cash, and balances with RBI. Okay. So all cash assets of bank are listed under the others account, and form most liquid accounts held by any bank. Cash in hand, okay, balances with RBI, balances with bank, and money at call in short notice. Okay. So these two comes under this particular head. Okay. It is schedule 6, and this is part of schedule 7. Okay. So this comes under the schedule 7. Okay. Bank. So if we talk about the balances with bank and money at call and short notice, call notice which is payable within 24 hours overnight, and short notice which no, receivable basically. If if your bank have issued short notice on any other bank, so it will be payable within 14 days, and if you have issued call notice, it will be receivables, both the cases receivables within 14 days. Okay? The bank balance include amount held by bank in current accounts and term deposit, this Under call money market, funds are transacted overnight, and for notice it is आपका up to 14 days. ठीक है, so this is the one. So cash in hand and cash with RBI including आपका CRR and all. ठीक है, so they generally comes under this. Then we have Schedule 8 investment. In a major asset item in balance sheet of a bank is investment in various kind of securities, like it can be government bonds or SLR securities or investment in golds and all. Yeah. So these investment in government securities, approved securities, shares, debenture, bonds, subsidiaries, joint ventures, and other investment. Bank in various government and other securities as part of their compliance SLR of the Reserve Bank of India. Okay. Then we have 9 advances. Okay. The most important one, okay, basically these are the major or the primary source of earning for the bank itself. Okay. Advances. So a loan given by bank to the customers. The most important asset on bank balance sheet is advances. These advances which present the credit expended by bank to customers from a major part of the assets for all the bank thereby become the major source of income for the bank. Yes, it can be credit, cash credit, overdraft, loan, repayables on demand. It can be term loan, bills purchased and discounted, secured, unsecured loan. Okay? So then it is also आपका secured and unsecured advances, secured by tangible asset, covered by government guarantee, unsecured advances and all. ठीक है, so आपका 8, this is your 8, this is your 9, then 10th is आपका fixed asset. ठीक है, the next schedule is fixed asset. So all fixed asset or immovable premises or furniture or fixture, hardware, vehicles and all, they generally comes under this particular head. ठीक है, property, plants and equipments. ठीक है, then 11 is uh, okay, we are missing one point somewhere here. 7 balances, cash and balances with RBI. 6, 7, 8, 9 advances. Then we have 10 fixed asset. One is missing, I guess it's from this list also. Yeah. So we have other asset. Yeah. So it is remaining from that particular one. Inter-office adjustment, interest accrued, tax paid in advances and tax. Then we have stationery and stamps, non-banking asset acquired in satisfaction of claim and others. So these are the one. Yeah. Yes. Some one component is missing. I just want to check this one. Take it from this slide itself. Advances, balances. This investment was 8, advances, fixed asset, other asset. Acha, contingent liabilities was missing from that particular one. Okay, now I realize this. Okay. So contingent liabilities is missing from this other asset. Okay. Contingent liabilities is missing from this particular one. This. That is the missing one. Okay. Otherwise, rest are fine. Okay. Now, these are the components of your profit and loss account. Okay. So, profit and loss account, if you talk about the profit and loss account, okay. So, with this, we get to know about the net profit or net losses. Okay. So, the components under this particular one was 13 and 14. Okay. 13 and 14, it is related to income. Okay. Income. And 15 and 16 is related to expenses. Okay. Expenses. So this is the one. This is interest income, interest expense, other expense. ठीक है, then 17th one is profit and loss account. All right. So अगर हम लोग इसको देखते हैं, ठीक है, interest income means 13, schedule 13. ठीक है. So interest income from a bank is a major and most important revenue for a bank. Now it is about the profit and loss account. ठीक है. So interest income which we generally have based on our एसेट्स आपका, ठीक है, जो हमारे एडवांसेस थे उससे. ठीक है, सो इंटरेस्ट एंड डिस्काउंट ऑन एडवांसेस, income from investment. Then we have interest on balances with RBI and other interbank funds and others. Then other income is all other type of interest discount income which is not included in this particular one. So this is आपका income, interest income, schedule 13. other income आपका schedule 14 of BR, that particular one, ठीक है. So other income, then it include आपका income from other than interest, ठीक है. So which include commission, exchange and brokerage, profit on sale or investment, ठीक है. Profit on revaluation of investment, profit on sale of land, building and other asset, profit on exchange transactions, income earned by way of dividend and miscellaneous income. So these are the major sources under your other income. Please do remember these particular one, ठीक है. इनको रिवाइज करने का इकलौता मोटिव ये है कि एग्जामिनेशन के अंदर आपको अभी जब हम लोग प्रैक्टिस करेंगे उसमें भी आपको ये देखने के लिए मिलेंगे. Now, interest expended, which is schedule 14, 13, 14, 15 आपका schedule 40, 15, ठीक है. So interest expended on our liabilities majorly, ठीक है. So since bank have to mobilize funds regularly to meet the credit demands, the major expenses of the bank arise from the interest expended on deposits on borrowers, interest on deposit like saving और उनके ऊपर, ठीक है, और FD RD, इंटरेस्ट ऑन RBI और इंटरबैंक बोरोविंग्स इफ एनी, ठीक है, एंड अदर आपका, ठीक है, डिस्काउंट इंटरेस्ट ऑन अदर बोरोविंग्स अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर वन, ठीक है. Operating expenses which generally comes under schedule 16, ठीक है. So schedule 16 which deal with the operating expenses to run the business. We have to like office rent, employee salary, electricity bill, or the other one, they all generally comes under the operating expenses, ठीक है. So payment to provisions for payment to and provision for employees, rent, taxes and lighting, printing and stationery, advertisement and publicity, depreciation on bank property, director fee, allowances and expenses, auditor's fee and expenses, law charges, postage, repair and maintenance, insurance, other expenditure. So these are the major head under the operating expenses. Okay? So then we get to know the net profit and net losses borne by bank during that particular accounting period. ठीक है, तो ये आपके टोटल 17 शेड्यूल्स. 18th one is आपका note to accounts which is explanatory note on the previous 17 schedule, ठीक है, if like which we generally disclose for the for the transparency purpose and all, ठीक है. तो जिससे जो भी उस डॉक्यूमेंट्स को आपका देख रहा हो दे गेट टू नो द एग्जैक्ट थिंग्स अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर वन. ऑलराइट, तो ये आपका पूरा. अब थोड़ा सा क्वेश्चन प्रैक्टिस करते हैं बैक टू बैक, देन वी विल बी एंटरिंग इनटू द ALM पार्ट. सो फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन गाइज, अब ये बनते जाएंगे. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड एज अ पार्ट ऑफ कैपिटल एंड लाइबिलिटीज इन बैंक बैलेंस शीट. सो बोरोविंग इज पार्ट ऑफ दिस, ठीक है, एंड deposit is part of this, reserve and surplus part of this, investments are classified under the asset category, ठीक है. तो investment कहाँ पे आता है आपका asset category के अंदर, ठीक है. so investment are classified under assets like आपका जैसे shares में या bonds में या golds या others, ठीक है. which of the following currently define money at call? Money at call means the it is receivable overnight, ठीक है, overnight आपका, and money at short it is receivable within 14 days, ठीक है. so ये आपका कहाँ तक होगा 14 days तक, ठीक है. so fund no funds that lend for this particular period, so option B without any doubt it will be right answer for this one, ठीक है. next one, which of the following item is not a part of interest earned category in profit and loss account? So interest earned, ठीक है. so interest on deposit, yes it is. Income from investment, interest discount or sorry, interest on deposit it is liability, ठीक है. इंटरेस्ट इट इज नॉट पार्ट ऑफ द एसेट्स, आपका पहला ही गलत है आपका, ठीक है. इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिपॉजिट इज बेसिकली लाइबिलिटी, ये हमारा लाइबिलिटी साइड में रहता है, ठीक है. इट इज इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंडेड, ठीक है. इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंडेड मींस योर शेड्यूल 15 आपका, ठीक है. शेड्यूल 15 में इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंडेड सबसे पहले रहते हैं, ठीक है. in income from investment, interest discounted advances, interest from this, so A only will be right answer for this one, ठीक है. so interest earned which include interest on loan and advances, discount on bill, income from investment, interest on balances with RBI. Interest on deposit is an expense for the bank and included under the interest expended schedule 15 of that performa balance sheet. Okay, next one. So now we will be entering into ALM portion. Okay, which of the following primary objective of asset liability management? तो ALM हमने पिछले मॉड्यूल में बहुत डिटेल में डिस्कस किया है. ठीक है, आई होप एवरीबडी विल बी एबल टू आंसर दिस. ठीक है, सो इट इज लाइक मैनेजिंग योर एसेट्स एंड लायबिलिटी, सिंपल टर्म्स में. ठीक है, so maximizing fluctuation, no. Minimizing होता है actually. Increase the risk exposure, decrease the risk exposure, liquidity risk, interest rate risk. Managing risk related to interest rate risk, liquidity and credit, 100% true आपका. ठीक है, so C will be right answer for this particular one. ठीक है, next one. So एक थोड़ा सा इंट्रोडक्शन इस पार्ट का भी देख लेते हैं. एसेट लाइबिलिटी मैनेजमेंट इज कंसर्न विद स्ट्रेटेजिक बैलेंस शीट मैनेजमेंट इन्वॉल्विंग risk caused by changes in interest rate, exchange rate, credit risk, and liquidity position of bank. With profit becoming a key factor, it has now become imperative for a bank to move away from partial asset management, credit and non-performing, and partial liability management toward the integrated balance sheet management, where all the components of balance sheet and its a different maturity mix will be looked at the profit angle of that particular bank. So basically, the question is same. What we want? We want solvency with liquidity. For that one, you have to manage you have to perfectly manage ALM. Okay, asset liability. ठीक है? So objective of ALM is so we have three core objective: to increase our NII, to balance or to improve our NIM, and to maintain good equity ratios, long term prospect about that organization. ठीक है? So ALM techniques so designed to manage various risks, primary aim to stabilize the short term profit. Stabilize short term profit means NII. ठीक है? How we calculate NII? Interest inflow minus outflow. ठीक है? Long term earnings, how you calculate long term earnings? Through NIM. ठीक है? How you calculate NIM? NII divided by average asset of the bank. ठीक है? लॉन्ग टर्म सब्सटेंस और क्वालिटी ऑफ द बैंक. ठीक है, इट इज आपका शेयर होल्डर्स फंड्स आपका. इट इज समथिंग रिलेटेड टू योर शेयर होल्डर्स फंड्स. ठीक है, शेयर होल्डर्स इक्विटी एंड ऑल. ठीक है, हाउ वी आर मैनेजिंग दैट वन. ठीक है, सो वी हैव थ्री मेजर पैरामीटर्स: एनआईआई, ठीक है, आपका एनआईएम एंड इकोनॉमिक इक्विटी रेशियो. सो एनआईआई, so how we calculate this? Interest income minus interest expenses. In order to stabilize short-term profit, bank have to minimize fluctuation in NII. ठीक है, first thing. Second one is NIM. So it is NII divided by average assets. ठीक है, so net interest margin can viewed as a spread on earning asset. ठीक है, so it is a kind of like how we are generating, like if you are creating new asset, how they are contributing to your overall NIM and overall growth. And the third one is economic equity ratio, the ratio of shareholders fund to total asset. Measure the shift in ratio of own funds to total funds. ठीक है, this fact assess the substance capacity of the bank. How we calculate shareholders fund divided by total asset. Okay, so these are the three ratios. One is like NII, which is something related to short term आपका measures or profitability. NIM and आपका इकोनॉमिक इक्विटी रेशियोज, दे जनरली शोज द लॉन्ग टर्म प्रोस्पेक्ट अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर कंपनी. ठीक है, सो दिस वाज अ नाइस चार्ट कि जो आपको एएलएम और आपका बैलेंस शीट का कोऑर्डिनेशन रिप्रेजेंट करेगा. ठीक है, एएलएम एज कोऑर्डिनेटेड बैलेंस शीट मैनेजमेंट. ठीक है, the asset liability management function can be viewed in term of two stage approach of balance sheet, stage 1 and stage 2. ठीक है, so stage 1 is specific balance sheet management function of ALM. So asset side management and liability side management. Asset side management means management of reserve position management. We have liquidity management, investment and security management, loan management, and fixed asset management. So ALM as coordinated balance sheet management. Liability side management by ALM is liability management, reserve position management, long term management, and capital. The second is आपका income and expense function, which is related to your profit and loss account. This is something related to your balance sheet. Okay. So profit is equal to interest income minus interest expense, provision for loan losses, plus non-interest revenue minus non-interest expense minus taxes. Okay. Bank are required to formulate policies to achieve following objective of ALM, asset liability management, spread management, loan quality, generating fee income and service charges, control of non-interest operating expenses, tax management, and आपका capital adequacy management. So these are the kind of, like, with the help of ALM आपका, या जो ट्रेजरी आपका है उसके थ्रू भी काइंड ऑफ वी डील, और द टीम ALM और एल्को कमेटी, asset liability management committee, they contribute or they work on these particular areas. Like, these are the key areas which they generally perform through the balance sheet, and these are the key areas which they generally perform through the profit and loss account. Okay. So in brief, ALM is concerned with strategic balance sheet management, match between asset and liability balance sheet, risk like credit market interest rate, stem from the mismatch between asset and liabilities, तो उसको balance out करना, which we have discussed a lot in our previous module. ALM is not to avoid risk but to manage risk sustaining profitability. Periodic monitoring of risk exposure involving collecting and analyzing information, ability to anticipate, forecast, and to act so as to maximize bank business profit, altering asset liability portfolio in a dynamic way to manage risk, involve judgment and decision making. ALM involve planning, directing, controlling the flow, mix, cost, and yield of the consolidated funds of the bank itself. So these are the kind of responsibilities, or like we can say, it is a linkage between ALM and your balance sheet. Okay? So कहीं ना कहीं that ELCO committee which is हैंडलिंग ऑल दीज पर्टिकुलर एरियाज, जो जिनको हमने आपका बैलेंस शीट के हिसाब से क्या क्या है एसेट साइड में और लाइबिलिटी साइड में, और प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट के अंदर हाउ टू कीप दैट बैंक सॉल्वेंट, सो दैट इज ऑल्सो टेकन केयर बाय दिस पर्टिकुलर वन. ठीक है, चलो अब कुछ क्वेश्चन और प्रैक्टिस कर लेते हैं. What does economic equity ratio measure in a bank? तो क्या होता है आपका शेयर होल्डर्स फंड डिवाइड बाय टोटल एसेट. ठीक है, या आपका जो कैपिटल जिसको आप बोल सकते हो. ठीक है, द रेशियो ऑफ नेट इंटरेस्ट मार्जिन, नो, द परसेंटेज ऑफ ओन फंड टू टोटल एसेट. ठीक है, आगे जाने की जरूरत नहीं है आपको, बी विल बी राइट आंसर. ठीक है, शेयर होल्डर्स फंड डिवाइड बाय टोटल एसेट. ठीक है, which of the following best define NIM? So, how you calculate NIM? It is NII divided by your average asset. ठीक है, so total interest income earned by bank, no, the spread between interest earned and interest paid, that is equal to NII. ठीक है, डिवाइडेड बाय टोटल एसेट. तो आपका आंसर ये हो जाएगा. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे पहले NII को डिफाइन किया गया है, देन आपका अगर हम उसको डिवाइड करते हैं किससे, आपका एवरेज एसेट से, सो दैट इज कॉल्ड योर NIM. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट वन, कंटिंजेंट लाइबिलिटीज इन बैंक बैलेंस शीट. लाइबिलिटीज मतलब कंटिंजेंट लाइबिलिटीज क्या होते हैं, दे मे अकर और मे नॉट. ठीक है, जैसे लो गारंटी प्रोवाइडेड बाय बैंक. ठीक है, लेट्स से LC इशूड बाय बैंक. ठीक है, ये सब चीजें आपका, इवन डेरिवेटिव्स आल्सो. ठीक है, अगर वो काउंटर पार्टी रिस्क फेस कर सकता है नहीं कर सकता, दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. ठीक है, या हमने जिसके अगेंस्ट में LC इशू कर रखा है, मे बी वो डिफॉल्ट कर सकता है और मे नॉट. ठीक है, दैट काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. सो लाइबिलिटीज दैट आर नॉट रिकॉर्डेड इन बैलेंस शीट, ट्रू, but are disclosed as footnote. 100% true. A only will be right answer for this particular one. Okay. So contingent liabilities are off balance sheet item, meaning they are potential liabilities that may arise in the future, like bank guarantee, letter of credit, pending legal disputes and all. They generally comes under this. Okay. They are disclosed as footnote for the transparency purpose also. ठीक है, तो contingency, हाँ, दिस वॉज मिसिंग दैट टाइम. ठीक है, शेड्यूल 12 आपका. ठीक है, तो दिस इज शेड्यूल 12 आपका, दैट वॉज मिसिंग फ्रॉम दैट बैलेंस शीट वाला सीक्वेंस. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे आपका ये है. सो कंटिंजेंट लाइबिलिटीज A bank obligation under issuance of letter of credit, guarantee, acceptance on behalf of constituent and bill accepted by a bank on behalf of its customer are reflected under contingent liabilities. Other contingent liabilities include claim against the bank not acknowledged as debt, liability for partly paid up investment, liability on account of outstanding forward exchange contract, other item like arrears of cumulative dividend, bill risk rediscounted, underwriting commitments, estimated amount of contract remaining to be executed on capital account and not provided for. So these all are generally comes under your आपका contingent liabilities. Schedule 12 of the परफॉर्मा बैलेंस शीट और फॉर्म में. ठीक है, प्लीज ध्यान रखेंगे. चलो कुछ और क्वेश्चन. व्हाट इज द प्राइमरी फंक्शन ऑफ रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस in bank balance sheet? So they serve as this we have discussed, I guess. They serve as a cuisine for depositors and creditors in case of losses. ठीक है, रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस. ठीक है, रिजर्व एंड सरप्लस विच इंक्लूड आपका जैसे शेयर प्रीमियम है या जो प्रॉफिट हमने ट्रांसफर किया था बैलेंस शीट में अदर्स. ठीक है, बिफोर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग द डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन दैट बिफोर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिंग द डिविडेंड इटसेल्फ. ठीक है, एक रूल मैंने आपको बताया था ना कि like bank before distributing the dividends they have to transfer 20% of their profit to the balance sheet. Your reserve and surplus के अंदर ही आता है. ठीक है, so like this is as simple as that. In your bad time, in your good time, you are saving more money for your bad time. अगर कभी ऐसा होता है तो वहां you can use this particular one. ठीक है. In balance sheet of a bank, other liabilities and provision include which of the following? Other liabilities and provision: interest accrued but not due on borrowings, unclaimed dividend, ये सारे ही हैं आपका. ठीक है, इंटरेस्ट accrued but not due on borrowings. ठीक है, unclaimed dividend, inter office. ठीक है, so all D will be right answer for this particular one. ठीक है, other component in bank this category include outstanding expenses, provision for income tax and contingent liabilities. ठीक है, so that is the one. A mismatch between asset and liability in bank balance sheet primarily lead to a which type of risk? It can lead to liquidity risk. ठीक है, so आपका क्या होगा, like bank won't be able to meet their short term liquidity position if there is a maturity mismatch, or you won't be able to liquidate your assets which you have planned for your liabilities and all. Okay, so liquidity risk arise when bank liabilities such as customer deposit are short term while assets are long term. If a large number of depositors withdraw funds at once, the bank does not have sufficient liquid asset because you have already given that money to the borrowers for longer period. It may face liquidity risk. Okay? And ALM will help you to sort out this particular problem by raising funds from other market like money market or using derivatives to hedge the situation. Which of the following statement is true regarding the treatment of investment in bank balance sheet? So all investment are classified as fixed asset. No. Held to maturity STM held to maturity investment are marked to market. No, they are not marked to market. ठीक है, आपका हेल्ड फॉर ट्रेडिंग, जो हेल्ड टू ट्रेडिंग आपके होता, अगर ये ट्रेडिंग होता तब आपका सही होता. इन्वेस्टमेंट रिक्लासिफिकेशन इज परमिटेड ओनली एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द financial year. This is 100% true. ठीक है, so we have held for trading and held to sorry आपका held to maturity, held for trading और आपका सेल, थ्री कैटेगरीज ऑफ एसेट. ठीक है, बट ये कैटेगराइजेशन यू हैव टू डिस्क्लोज एट दी like जैसे अगर something is part of your held for trading, if you want to shift that particular one from held to trading to held for sale or held to maturity to held for sale, this is allowed at the beginning of the financial year. ठीक है, प्लीज ध्यान रखिएगा. So bank classified investment into three categories as per RBI guidelines. This is very important one, guys. ठीक है, so please do remember this. First one is held to maturity. Investment held till maturity, subject to frequent valuation changes. Not subject to frequent valuation changes. Available for sale, सब्जेक्ट टू आपका M2M वैल्यूएशन. जब भी आप उसको बेचोगे उसका वैल्यूएशन, आपका बुक वैल्यू क्या था और आपका सेल वैल्यू क्या है, ठीक है। हेल्ड फॉर ट्रेडिंग आपका शॉर्ट टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट मार्क टू मार्केट बेसिस M2M बेसिस पे, लाइक इक्विटी इन्वेस्टमेंट और डेरिवेटिव्स एंड ऑल, दे जनरली कम्स अंडर दिस। Reclassification of investment between these categories is permitted only at the beginning of the financial year, ensuring financial transparency. If you want to shift this to this, so this is allowed at the beginning itself, ठीक है। So please do remember this one, ठीक है। What is the impact of sudden rise in interest rate on bank balance sheet under fixed rate lending scenario? So interest rate, sudden rise in interest rate क्या होगा, जैसे customers जो borrowings है, ठीक है, they, like earlier it was on an average 7%, it increased to 10%, ठीक है। So it will make a negative impact on our NII, ठीक है, क्योंकि हमने जो lending कर रखी है that is इन फिक्स रेट, ठीक है। फिक्स रेट लैंडिंग सिनेरियो के अंदर आपका क्या होगा, सो कस्टमर विल शिफ्ट फ्रॉम हेयर टू हेयर। आपने आपका 12% पे, जैसे लेट्स से you have landed at 12%, so earlier it was your NII was how much, 5%, ठीक है, now it will only 2%, ठीक है। So this is the one. The net interest income increase, no, it will decrease because your NII will decrease. The market value of fixed income securities decline, affecting profitability. बिल्कुल सही, ठीक है। So this is also जो fixed income securities हैं वो मतलब that inversely related वाला जो point है that also prove. Loan repayment capacity of borrowing improve, नहीं ऐसा नहीं. The bank benefit from loan, no. So option B should be right answer, yes. So the interest rate rise, market value of fixed income securities will fall due to inverse relationship, ठीक है। तो अगर आप इसको बॉन्ड के केस में देखते हो, फिक्स इनकम सिक्योरिटीज के केस में, तो दिस पोर्टफोलियो में दिस कैन ऑल्सो हैव सर्टेन इम्पैक्ट, ये भी हमारा इम्पैक्ट आ सकता है, ठीक है। बैंक होल्डिंग अ लार्ज इन्वेस्टमेंट पोर्टफोलियो इन गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज एक्सपीरियंस depreciation in asset value affecting profitability. NIM may remain unchanged or decline if deposit rate also increase, ठीक है। Which of the following scenario can lead to an increase in NSFR of a bank, ठीक है, increase in NSFR of a bank, ठीक है। So a high proportion of short term wholesale borrowings, क्या कह रहा है, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग सिनेरियो कैन लीड टू एन इंक्रीज इन NSFR, ठीक है। NSFR आपका मतलब सोर्स बढ़ रहा है आपका, हायर प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ शॉर्ट टर्म wholesale borrowings, no. Increase in reliance on interbank borrowings. A shift from short-term deposit to long-term deposit, yes. Expansion of credit, no. So option C will be right answer for this particular one, ठीक है। So net stable funding ratio ensure bank maintain sufficient stable funding relative to liquidity profile of their asset. Long-term retail deposit provides stable sources of funding, improving NSFR, ठीक है, जैसे FD हमारे पास ज्यादा आ रहे हो तो, ठीक है। आगे बढ़ते हैं। What happened to a bank capital adequacy ratio when a significant portion of लोन पोर्टफोलियो बिकम नॉन परफॉर्मिंग, ठीक है। तो आपका क्या होगा, CAR कम पड़ जाएगा आपका ऑटोमेटिकली, ठीक है। सो जो आप लेट्स से यू हैव मेंटेन आपका 10 करोड़ रुपीज CAR, ठीक है। अब क्या हुआ, NPA एकदम से बढ़ गए तो आपका CAR जो 10 करोड़ अभी तक आपने मेंटेन किया है वो कम हो जाएगा, ठीक है। यू हैव टू increase that particular one, ठीक है। So an increase CAR increase because NPA generate additional interest income, no. CAR decrease मतलब current status का, ठीक है। Later on मतलब to maintain the regulatory one they have to increase the CAR, that means, but current situation आपका जो इस पे आएगा that CAR decrease as risk weight asset increase due to higher provisioning. So option B will be right answer for this particular one. So tier 1 capital plus tier 2 capital divided by risk weight asset, that is the basic formula to maintain this, and it is linked with the risk weight asset, so you have to increase your CAR portion, ठीक है। Cash reserve ratio impact on a bank ability to lend, ठीक है। तो ये क्या करता है, उसको आपका हार्म करता है, ठीक है। अगर if RBI will increase CRR from 4 to 5%, it will automatically impact the banking और banks lending capacity, ठीक है। 1% से सीधा सीधा कम हो जाएगी। So it increase lending capacity, no. It reduce lending capacity by blocking funds with RBI, ठीक है। तो without any doubt this is right, ठीक है। The percentage of bank total deposit that must kept with RBI in the form of cash, and even RBI does not pay any interest on this. A higher CRR means less liquidity available for lending as a portion of bank funds are locked. Next one. In the bank balance sheet, which category of investment is not subject to frequent M2M? तो M2M frequent M2M का पार्ट कौन नहीं होगा? Held to maturity. ठीक है, held to maturity means आपका ऑप्शन सी. ठीक है, आपका held for trading ये क्या होगा? M2M होगा. This is also M2M, but this is not a subject matter of आपका M2M. ठीक है, so held to maturity investment are securities that bank intended to hold until maturity, so they are not frequently marked to market. ठीक है, आपका held for trading and asset for sale investment are subject to M2M valuation, meaning they are reevaluated based on the market price fluctuations. Okay, so this is it. So this is all about your very first unit of module D, which is balance sheet components, assets and liabilities component of bank balance sheet and their ALM management. Okay, so I hope you got this particular thing clearly and you found this particular session interesting. Okay, so I have uploaded PDFs on our application. Okay, so one challenge I was facing कि जैसे जैसे मैं like I uploaded PDF in the past itself. But when you join, तो जब आप ज्वाइन करते हो तो उसके बाद वो PDF आपको नहीं मिलते हैं. देन लाइक वन बाय वन लोग ज्वाइन करते जाते हैं. देन दे आस्क फॉर द PDF एंड ऑल. सो द बेस्ट सोल्यूशन व्हाट आई फाउंड. ठीक है, कि एप्लीकेशन के अंदर जो फ्री नोट सेक्शन है वहां पे आई हैव अपलोडेड PDF सब्जेक्ट वाइज आपका. So we have two sections. One is for JIB, another one for CIB. So if you'll come to the CAIB 2025 folder, you'll see subject wide notes. तो वहां पे आपको you will get all these particular note at one place. You can download those particular one and you can practice with these particular notes. I hope this will be very helpful for all of you. And if you are an iPhone user, अगर आप iOS यूज करते हैं सेम, so you have to use a code that is ECXOIO. ठीक है, ECXOIO. ठीक है, दिस इज ORG कोड. ठीक है, तो ये लिंक आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन में मिल जाएगा, एप्लीकेशन का लिंक. बट दैट विल रूट थ्रू द क्लास प्लस. ठीक है, तो अगर आप उसको डाउनलोड करेंगे क्लास प्लस के ऐप पे, ECXOIO डालेंगे कोड, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कोड, तो वहां से भी आपको मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, एंड्रॉइड पे JIB CIB प्रेप के नाम से ही आपको एप्लीकेशन मिल जाएगा. ठीक है दोस्तों, so I hope you enjoy this particular one, and please do share your feedback, and if you have any doubts, any queries, please do let me know. So this is it from my side. Thank you for watching this session. Thank you for joining for this session. I'll see you tomorrow with our next unit from module D. So very soon we will be covering, like within this week on only, we will be covering all the topics. We have only 7 units in this particular one, so that means it will require 7 classes. तो एक बार इसको खत्म करेंगे, then we will shift to ABM classes. All right, so this is it. Bye bye, take care all, have a nice day. Thank you.